Welcome to episode 60 of the Burning Bush podcast, where we share the message of the Bible while enjoying a good cigar. Hope everybody's having a good week. Glad you could stop by the podcast. And this week I am smoking the Quorum by Newman Connecticut Shade in the 5.5 by 43 Corona size. This is a bit of a different cigar for me, but I was looking for something that I could smoke first thing in the morning on my drive into work. I have about a 30 to 40 minute commute every morning, so I was looking for something that would be a quick smoke and something with not a lot of nicotine. I was hitting some Maduros first thing in the morning and was getting kind of a buzz, so I wanted something a little lighter. And so I saw these, and I had tried the sun-grown ones before a few years back, and I wasn't really impressed. But I was like, well, let me give the Connecticut a try and see what those are like. And surprisingly, it's a really good cigar. And it's I get a really good price on them. I get them at foxcigar.com for like $33 for a bundle of 20. So really good deal, especially, like I said, just for a morning commute cigar that goes real quick. They're not wrapped real tight. They're kind of spongy, but I'm not really paying attention to flavors and all that when I'm driving. So I just wanted something I could have for a quick smoke on the morning drive. So let me take you over to the J.C. Newman website and give you the rundown on these. In just a few short years, Quorum Nicaraguan handmades have become the #1 selling imported handmade bundle cigar in the world. J.C. Newman's dedication to quality has been materialized in these smooth, medium-bodied cigars, available at a price accessible to even the most discriminating of wallets. Quorum cigars are handmade in Nicaragua, a country known for rich soil, producing some of the world's hardiest, full-bodied tobacco. Available in 3 varieties, Classic, Shade, and Maduro, these cigars contain binders and wrappers that make each blend unique. And let me scroll down here. The wrapper is Ecuadorian Connecticut Shade, binder is Sumatra Sun-Grown, and filler is Nicaraguan. And they are made at the J.C. Newman Pensa factory. And they received a 92 rating from Smoke Magazine. And the vitolas are Churchill 7 by 48, Double Gordo 6 by 60, Toro 6 by 50, Torpedo 6 by 50, Corona 5.5 by 43, Robusto 4 3/4 by 50, Tres Petite Corona 4.5 by 38, and the short Robusto 3.5 by 50. That is the Quorum Shade by J.C. Newman. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back into this week's reading of Dr. Justin Bass's book, The Bedrock of Christianity. We're still in chapter 3, and the title of this week's section is Origin of the Creedal Tradition. Over the last century, scholars have debated where this creedal tradition came from. The 2 major options are that it originated in Damascus or even Antioch with Greek-speaking Christians, or in Jerusalem with Aramaic-speaking Christians. German New Testament scholar Joachim Jeremias has been the leading advocate for its originating in Jerusalem and possibly even being translated into Greek from a Semitic Aramaic source. Others follow another German New Testament scholar, Hans Konzelmann, who vigorously argued against Jeremias' position, instead contending this creedal tradition originated with a Greek-speaking Jewish community in Damascus or even Antioch. Overall, this particular scholarly debate is not that important to our discussion. Whether this creedal tradition was originally composed in Jerusalem, Damascus, or Antioch, the ultimate source of the content of 1 Corinthians 15, 3-7 comes from Jerusalem. It was in Jerusalem that Paul met with Peter and James, and most likely other members of the 12, who are specifically mentioned in the creedal tradition. Paul himself declares at the end of his discussion of Jesus' death, burial, resurrection, and appearances, "Whether then it was I or they, so we preach, and so you believed." 1 Corinthians 15:11. The "they" here are the Jerusalem apostles, Peter, James, John, and others of the 12 Paul has just referenced. 1 Corinthians 15:5-7. Paul is making it crystal clear that he and all the Jerusalem apostles are preaching the same gospel, namely, the content of the creedal tradition in 1 Corinthians 15:3-7. This is a bedrock fact. Hengel agrees. This later forms the basis of Paul's gospel, and by his own report, 1 Corinthians 15:11, was the original Jerusalem confession that formed the bedrock for the proclamation of Cephas, the 12, James, and all the apostles. In sum, whether this particular creedal tradition Paul received was originally composed by Greek-speaking Christians in Damascus or Antioch, or in Aramaic by the apostles in Jerusalem, the testimonies concerning Jesus' death, burial, resurrection, and appearances ultimately came from some of the earliest followers of Jesus. And that'll end this week's reading of The Bedrock of Christianity by Dr. Justin Bass. And hopefully my voice wasn't a little too hoarse for you to put up with, but got some kind of frog in my throat today. But I made it through. It was a short passage this week, so make sure you check out the show notes for links to Dr. Bass's website where you can pick up copies of his books, and also link to this week's cigar, and also groundworksministries.com for daily Bible studies and devotionals, and of course the Burning Bush podcast merchandise store where you can pick up some items to help spread the word about the show, and please tell your friends. So until next week, have a great day, have a great cigar,